This Amstar trying to escape, but Triffin is nearby, and you cannot escape a Revenant. That phase traversal is just so strong, and there it is. Triffin chases him on down. Amstar trying to get the portal, but it's just not going to be in time. Sling is going to drop as well, and all over the map, Vermilion are dominating these team fights. The keep is now looking pretty great for Vermilion, as Triffin is just looking to finish players off left, right, and center. Takes down Angie Rev. Fantastic news for Purple Noise. This is their way back into this match. Only 50 points down right now, and with 5 men fully healthy, they're looking for tech speed as well. They're going to be able to get this second kill. Nobody will be able to get this res. So Purple Noise is starting to snowball this a little bit, and rank 55 Dragons, it feels like they've lost control of this map, and there has to be a reaction coming out from Purple Noise. But the thing is, they don't have a Mesmer. They can't instantly pull back over, but are they going to have the sustain that they need to keep this Lord alive? It doesn't look like it right now, as it's going to get dropped almost immediately. They just need to finish off the stomp. Some CC has to come out, but it's not quick enough. Hellseth going to be porting back up towards this midpoint, but actually he's not all too healthy right now, down to 5,000 HP and doesn't have any cooldowns available, so needs to be very, very careful. And Sin is looking to try and capitalize on this situation for Roars as well there, but Tage has gone down.
Yeah, Tage going down in that situation. Hellseth is in the down state as well. Are they going to look for the res, or maybe even the kill on Sin might have been a good idea there as well, but they do go for the safer option. Tage coming over for the extra potential support, which that shield does offer. And we're just waiting to see. Whoa, nice pull! And he just wrecks Carzes. That pull from his virtue there. Good job from him, picking him out of nowhere.
Final Form will be able to pick up a full cap in time before Astral makes it back to the node. 6
but they might
left.
take a killer on track. I mean, they could potentially Condi bomb him up. Look at the Condis, he drops so quick.
Bob going to be taken down as well. Urantian going to be falling shortly after here. Has nothing available aside from his heal. Too many bleeds. Going to be able to, doesn't even cleanse those with his Signet there. So that will be it for Urantian and any hope of Final Form trying to get that keep. Have to make a hold here for Astral Authority.
He's vulnerable now. He's vulnerable now. So if they drop a bunch of damage and they're doing it, it's going to be dropping so quick. Look at the damage on him. They have to get the stomp though, and SubQT does not have that distortion.
Ozzy's going in for it. Are they able to get the stomp? It doesn't look like they're able to. Trackbull's taken down.
Ozzy
taken down. It looks like that Lord, they might just cleave him out. He's sitting at about 40% HP, still going for the res. There's the stomp.
And Final Form takes it.
What a game.
Give him a little bit of breathing room to maybe get that heal off. That is ready to go as soon as he drops out of this. But look at the pressure that's coming out on him. Suffer comes out. He's going to try for the heal and doesn't get it. I mean, a fraction of a second of difference there. And they're going to try for the stop, but they do get it. So he's not actually going to be taking any pressure at that stage right now. So he's going to be looking instead to try to take Toker out, but Toker returns fire on him, taking Bob out. 1 cap in favor of Astral with that kill. They have now
they just turned it all around.
Yeah, completely pivotal moment for them right here. The cap actually come out onto Hinge, and Schnicky's going to get chased out here by Feov, and they're going to be able to pull off that kill there as well as get that point. Now that looks like
there's
across
2
the
guys
board,
down,
yeah.
3 guys down on the side of Never Lucky. Bear was taken out in the roads. Selecta taken down at mid. So is Sunfish. Cast is just going to let these guys bleed out. What is this? A 2 cap on Spooky's side.
Man.
Unrelenting Assault going to give him some dodges for the time being. Goes straight through the portal. Duck, however, taken into the downstate over here. Going in for the res. Get him back up once again. Feov goes back through the portal. Oh, and gets back through once again just at the last second. Thankfully for him and the rest of his team, they will get it out of that waterfall safely. There's the cap at the mine point for Gems and Tonic, who are being 2 capped themselves. And Java needs to be very careful. Does have that Reaper Shroud available, but outside of this, does get taken down there by Devil of the Mist, and I don't think he's getting back up after that one.
Yeah, Paul looks like he's going to try to get the res off, and he gets it just in time, right before the stomp comes out with that traded search and rescue.
It's easy peasy's game, and it looks like the heal does get interrupted there. That's going to be the Lord's heal getting interrupted. He's going to be going into the downstate. That could be it. They're going in for the stomp, potentially. Trig will have the distortion. So no, the res comes out from easy peasy just as Trig came down with the distortion stomp, and now it looks like the Lord back in the downstate once again. Are they able to go for it? Hypno's going in for it. That's going to be the kill, as E-Dream will be coming out with the victory on Legacy of the Vofire. There is the decap from Edison, who will pick up the 3 cap for them, as easy peasy with ease going to move forward with this game number 3 on the Battle of Kylo. Certainly going to come out on top of E-Dream here.
Hello everyone, and welcome to On Point, the Guild Wars 2 Pro League PvP show. If you're wondering where Heurix is, he is here. Say hello, Heurix.
Hello?
in a very, very awesome way. Thanks for that glorious hello. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, man.
You sure?
You know, same
Other than
problem
the
as
internet.
last week, man.
Yeah.
Bad internet. Like, yeah, life is tough out here.
We
for sure.
get that everyone feels you there in terms of, it's very difficult to survive nowadays with the internet.
Yeah, send me your
those-
energy, man, for
those
sure.
Third world problems. Send Heurix your internet. Send him your internet. So, we are here to talk about Guild Wars 2 PvP action, of course, that happened over the previous week, and of course, in the next week going into the future. We only have 2 play days left, 2 weeks left. We just had play day 5, so we're going to go over the results not going to spend too long on these results because we do have Sin 11 with us, so we're just going to get over to them in about 5 minutes or so. But just talking about the results as a whole, EU was pretty much predetermined, really. I mean, you can see the result at the bottom, Car Crash versus More Guns Than Roses. That was an automatic win for More Guns because of Car Crash and everything that happened with those guys. So obviously, they have got 7 losses this season, and they will come in final place. Then, of course, first match of the day was Vermilion versus Super Smash. Again, another one of those series where Super Smash are... The feeling is, at the moment, they're playing out the season. But Vermilion able to pick up a good, strong win there, really. Just, obviously, we know those guys aren't feeling too great at the moment because of circumstances, but RG was playing over on the Mesmer instead of playing over on the Scrapper, as he usually would do. Interesting note this week as well is about Thief, and had the fact that rank 55 Dragons defeated Purple Noise, bringing on Thief, Mr. Red Levin himself, who we'll be speaking to quite shortly. And there was actually 3 Thieves being played across both regions, interestingly enough. There was Red Levin, Karzes on TCG, and Sin on Orange Logo. And then we had, it was Edison, Toka, and Zerko from NA as well. So we actually had 3 Thieves playing on each region, which is quite nice to see in the first week back. But yeah, then we had Orange Logo versus TCG. Again, we know the story behind Orange Logo. Kind of ripped apart a little bit over the course of 2 seasons. Just unfortunate for those boys, really, as well. TCG bringing in, like I said, Karzes as well, having quite a strong victory over on that day. And then that was pretty much EU. It wasn't like, we didn't have any 2-1s. Wasn't a massive closeness in games, to be honest. I mean, Purple Noise versus... All those matchups are fairly difficult for those teams anyway. But I still feel like Purple Noise, putting in a better performance than they would in the previous season. And doing okay there. So, NA results. I mean, NA was a little bit more exciting, right, Heurix?
Yeah, NA was certainly the opposite. I mean, starting off the day, we had Astro Authority versus Final Form, which, I mean, looking at this matchup from the beginning of the season, like talking about like pre-week 1, we would have typically looked at this matchup as something that, probably Astro would have dominated 2-0. But over the course of this season, Final Form has like set themselves way far apart from where they were in Season 1 and really kind of stepped their game up in a way that I honestly didn't expect coming into this, especially after, several patches and stuff that we have seen where Final Form has continuously adapted very, very quickly and very, very efficiently. And actually, in a strikingly similar fashion to Week 1 with Never Lucky, actually the same map pool, rotation, everything.
What are you going to say as well?
Yeah, Final Form wound up going down 1-2 to Astro, but I mean, it was one of the things where it's 1-1. Going down to Kylo, they were up. They were winning. They had a 2-cap. They were up like 100 points or something like that. And then Astro was able to, on Kylo, which I know we've talked about before as being one of those maps that it's kind of a little bit more difficult to try to retake the map and then hold on to it when you're down so much. But again, Astro for the second time against another really strong team wound up taking it back and then actually winning that matchup to go 2-1. So they're still now without a series loss, and Final Form probably at this stage is out of the running for going to the finals, considering what PZ and Never Lucky are going to be able to probably accomplish throughout the rest of the season. It's going to be one of those two, depending on the next 2 matches, at least in my opinion. But still a really great showing from Final Form, and I want to give a shout out to them because they've been doing a lot of work to get that far for sure. Going into match 2, though, Never Lucky certainly probably wanted to dominate Spooky a little bit more in the first matchup, but ultimately did just that in the second one. Wound up tying that one up at 2-0, or tying that one off at 2-0, I want to say, actually. But and then moving into the next match, PZ versus Jims and Tonic. PZ making pretty simple work of Jims and Tonic, who kind of struggled. We did see the Thief change in the second map, but it just wasn't enough for them to accomplish anything in the way that PZ kind of operates with the comp that they run, which is, in my opinion, one of the better comps right now after the patch. It was just too much for Jims and Tonic to handle. And then
they switched,
the next matchup.
what is it? They switched Zeus onto Ellie. Team
Ellie,
PZ.
yeah. And that works wonders for them, at least in my opinion, because Zeus is such a strong player on Ellie, so for them to be able to go back to that, and they haven't been on Ellie in a long time.
I mean, he played Ellie forever, right? So
yeah, for a long time, so he's back on his main now, so that's, in my opinion, really good for them. They weren't sure about how strong Ellie was going to be in the second season. They wound up switching to it. They feel pretty strong about it now, or pretty confident about it now, so moving forward, I think they're going to stick with that. On to the next matchup, Easy Peasy taking it 2-1 over eDream. In terms of the overall scope of the season, this doesn't really mean a lot, but it was good to see Easy Peasy kind of holding on to that, because they've been in a pretty good spot all season. They've been making a lot of good moves in terms of roster changes and stuff to make sure that they kind of are staying up there. Wang, certainly a great addition to their team. Nero, who's not playing with them right now, a great addition to the team, but Hypno now filling a slot. They have a pretty solid spot right at the middle of pack, I would say, and they're kind of running that race for that kind of year, at least in my opinion, in the Pro League for NA.
Okay. So good stuff from NA this week. I mean, I managed to watch it actually today, just because I couldn't watch it last week. But yeah, watching it today, it was, I think there was a lot of excitement. Again, like I said in previous weeks, NA is feeling like quite an exciting region, especially with the closeness of some of the games at the moment, in even Astral Authority, like you said before. A game being taken away from them. So that's just exciting for the future, I think, if anything. So we're going to jump over to EU League leaderboard. And obviously you can see rank 55 Dragons without a defeat currently are remaining as your first place. Alongside with them are going to be Vermilion, because of the car crash points that have already been taken into effect. So they have got a game in hand to rank 55 Dragons, because of Vermilion obviously have 6 on the board because of car crash obviously being banned from the season. Then we've got TCG over in the 3rd position. At the moment, it will most likely be, there's a 99.9% chance of this happening, rank 55, and also TCG going through, compared, as of, obviously we know Vermilion versus rank 55 Dragons later in the season. Then we're going to have 4th position is more Guns Than Roses, with drawing against Purple Noise at the moment as well. Obviously they've got the game in the hand and whatnot as well. And then we've got Orange Logo, Super Smash, Car Crash. So there is going to be a little bit of a fight for mid-table, end-table, and a potential, going back into the Challenger and have to re-qualify if that's the case, of what depending on what happens in the future, of course. So, EU, quite predetermined. A lot of the battle is towards the end of the table there. But if we jump over to NA, you see there's a little bit of a different story with 3 teams currently on 3-2.
Yeah, so the most interesting thing, I think, is with those top 3 teams, actually, which are going to be Astral Authority, Team PZ, and Never Lucky. While Final Form is certainly still technically in the running, as is, I guess, Easy Peasy as well. Mm-hmm. Because of Final Form and Easy Peasy both having 5 losses, if it does wind up coming to any kind of 5-2 tie, they're going to fall to one of the teams that are 10-4, 11-4, or something like that, if they do wind up winning the rest of their matches. So potentially, like, Never Lucky could potentially be that. Or if PZ winds up winning versus Never Lucky, then PZ will fill that slot anyway. So Final Form, Easy Peasy, while they did great this season, while I still expect Final Form to potentially end their season at 5-2, I do think that we're likely going to be seeing either PZ or Never Lucky take that second spot, and it's very likely that Astro will take one of those spots, just even if they lose to PZ. So right now, essentially, we have Astro in first, likely to be going to the season finals. Even if they lose one match, they're still looking to be pretty good, because they'll probably wind up being 12-4 on the season, which is still a really good spot to be in. PZ in second right now as the other team without a loss. They have a game next week against Never Lucky, who is in third place, to determine what might happen in terms of that. And then we have Final Form Easy Peasy right after them, still tied at the same spot as well with 3-2. But I would consider them just a little bit lower now, as they, because of their matchups, don't have much of an opportunity now to make it back into the season finals. And then we have 6th, 7th, and 8th being taken up by Gyms and Tonic, Spooky, and eDream, respectively, there, with Spooky and eDream not winning a series yet.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for those guys. I mean, yeah, chances of them picking up, it's going to be, against Gyms and Tonic versus eDream. I mean, I guess that's a possible pickup for eDream in next week. So anyway, we can talk about that preview in a bit, because obviously we'll have that. But it will be... yeah, interesting last play day of the season. Like you say, kind of Team PZ versus Astral Authority is going to be, that the other kind of game of the week, along with Rank 55 versus Vermilion, depending on how those boys obviously show up to the party on that play day, because obviously we're not too sure at the moment. But we are going to jump into the interview with a couple of guys you may know. So just so you know, guys, we are currently on your cams, and you can turn your mics on. There is still no Levin, just wonders what's going on. So, obviously, if you don't know, Levin is a thief, Revenant / thief for Rank 55 Dragons. And Sin, I'm going to keep calling you Sin from now on, so I don't get it wrong, from Orange Logo as well. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, I'm awesome, Jebro. What about you?
So, one of those things. Who talks first? What's happening? No. I'm excited, man. I'll tell you what, I'm excited to have both of you on today. We haven't got an NA representative, unfortunately. We had a couple of troubles. But reason I've got these boys on today is to actually talk quite a lot about Thief, if possible. And just check their perspective on what's going on, obviously, in the meta, as well as, obviously, the future, potentially maybe even moving into finals and seeing what's going to happen. So... if you have any questions in chat, please direct them towards these guys. They will say something in Twitch chat, I hope. So you can say at Levin or at Sin, or do at Jebro Unity or at CT Heurix. Is that right?
Yep.
Cool. So we will be able to see your questions quite clearly, and it'll be very obvious, and we can ask them, because obviously we want to have some answers to your questions as well. So, I mean, one of my main questions is right now, the main thing I've got on my mind is that I saw a difference, I think everyone saw a difference, between the Thief build that's potentially being played in the EU and the Thief build that's being played in NA. Mainly, the Bandit's Defense over Blinding Powder as an example.
Okay.
As well as the heal choice as well. So
that's right.
They play
some taking withdraw, some taking withdraw, and then some taking
General Vigor.
Physical skill instead.
Yeah, General Vigor.
So, I mean, what are your feelings about that? Why do you guys particularly... because I'm pretty sure you both played Blinding Powder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both played Blinding Powder, but the biggest thing you missed is the NA guys was running Improv over Executioner. Also.
Okay, that's right.
I'm actually considering using Improv now instead of Executioner, but I'm not sure about it. I still have to test it.
I just don't see why.
I actually think... wasn't Toki also using Daredevil Rune?
Yeah, he was running Daredevil Rune as well.
Okay, so do you guys want to talk about those differences a little bit, and maybe why you feel that your selection or choice would be better, or better maybe for yourself or your team composition? I mean, do we want to start with you, Sin, this time around, just because you're talking about improvisation, I guess?
Well... my preference is obviously Channeled Vigor over Withdraw, because it makes you move faster around the map. Usually when I ran Withdraw, I had to pop my Signet just to be able to move faster, which is just, you lose that extra dodge and you lose that extra consequence. And I don't know, I feel like even with the buffs from for Withdraw, I don't think it's stronger than Channeled Vigor at all. I just like the endurance recharge.
Yeah.
It's just superior. I mean, before they buffed Channel Vigor to have just a quarter of a second cast time, before it was like ridiculous. It was like 1.5 seconds. Then it was just terrible. But yeah, just move fast around the map. That's all.
I mean, it also has less CDs and withdraw if you go for trade.
Yeah, of course.
A bit less. Yeah.
Yeah, 16 seconds versus 18.
So what about this comparison of for yourselves, I guess, and I guess this one could go to Levin in terms of improvisation versus like executioner.
Well, I don't really theory craft that much around it, but I talk with Frey, and it's mostly about Thief matchup versus Revenants and the Stone ability. It's just really good. So yeah, I just need to do a little bit more. Try using improvisation a bit more. It's really nice actually, because I haven't used it in quite a while.
Right.
To get all your skills back, and I just need to try it on. So I really can't say no.
So I guess go soon.
I just dislike it because it's they added another thing to the table with RNG, physical skills, and it's even less chance to reset your cooldowns. But I agree with you that if people run Thief and Rev, then Improv is by far getting a better pick than it was before. But if you don't see enemy Thieves, I don't think Improv is that good. But that's my opinion.
Okay. So there's still obviously this idea that maybe, you know, there could be different horses for different courses depending on what your comp is and what you could run. I mean, is it right to say that maybe Thief isn't the strongest choice, but is still a choice, and maybe that they're at the moment in Guild Wars 2 PvP and on the competitive level as Pro League, there's the potential to have different class compositions to anyone.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, we see a lot of teams pick up Thief now, but there's also a lot of ways to counter Thief. You basically have to play around the Thief if you want to be successful with it. Like, it requires a lot from you.
So how do you... I mean, it's definitely worth, you know, a lot of people maybe don't know this, that FIFA's come back in quite strong, because if you haven't watched the Pro League yet, FIFA is, you know, very much back presently. We're not sure about the future, but how you guys play FIFA, just independently on your own, you know. I mean, it's a very similar play style. We all know the main aims of FIFA and PvP, but what you guys look for in terms of, you know, it might be worth saying, what do you do if you're suckered into a team fight? Do you even get suckered into a team fight? Because I was watching NA, and I think one of the thieves, I can't remember which one it was, but it was really stuck in this team fight mentality. And I think Storm and Heurix said it very well. You know, he can't stay there. Wasn't really using the map fully to his advantage, trying to get any decaps or anything like that. So how do you feel about team fights? How do you feel about, you know, where a thief should be on the map? Who should be their main target? Things like that.
I mean, it depends of a lot of different factors. Sometimes you can go for decaps. Sometimes you have 1v1s going on in the map, but you can't really +1 them. For example, I mean, if your ally is stuck in a 1v1, you can't really +1 that. Your team has to give you opportunities that you can actually +1 1v1, and yeah, ally just doesn't give you that opportunity. So you have to see it like that. If Ellie's one was running on a neutral node, then you already have like 1 point less where you can actually roam around. That already limits your potential. But I think you can stay in a team fight if you're with a Mesmer, for example, and he has more up. So you could just try to burst him down and set it up.
My question is, why haven't teams decided to base their comp around the map that they're playing? I mean, when you go into a weekly play, like a play week, you guys know what the map rotation is going to be, and while you have to lock in your composition for the first match, change between maps, and you can certainly lock in based on the first map. When you see stuff like having Legacy, why aren't teams like going into it with stuff like, oh hey, we know Thief isn't exactly the most strong on Legacy, why don't we play something else and then move the Thief into the next composition because we know it's going to be stronger for that map, not as strong with this map. Teams kind of stick themselves into one composition across every single map, despite the fact that certain maps cater to different things, and I'm wondering why teams don't do that.
I mean,
I think you guys didn't even know that you could swap comp, so...
I wasn't actually sure about it. I haven't read the rules in quite a while, so...
Any comment?
I mean, if you want to swap between comps, you have to. They're usually different playstyles, right? And that also means that one guy has to be able to play at least 2 different classes all the time. I mean, if I would start playing
Not really
something
asking
else,
for that much though.
I mean, okay, but if I would start playing something else than Thief, I would probably play Ref, right? But Texby was already playing Ref, so he would have to play something else as well.
He doesn't want to play Necro, does he?
I mean, that's not the problem. It's just that.
Obviously.
I mean, I could start learning Necro, but that would be even worse. Or maybe a different class. I mean, we could play even different compositions, but...
I mean, some people might disagree with me, but I think on Legacy of the Foefire, if you have an Ellie and a Druid together, especially if they can kind of force like a 2v3 at mid or 2v4 even, you
talking about
basically
Final
have completely... I mean, yeah, it was a great showing of that. I mean, teams, if you get a team to fall for that, that is a huge advantage to have in a game.
Yeah.
And to have that over a Thief is certainly really, really big, and I think that kind of catering to those kinds of advantages that you can create before the match even starts, then I don't understand why teams don't necessarily go for that. You guys are the best in the game. You guys are at the top tier. I feel like you guys have the ability to play more than one class to be able to pull those kinds of things off. And
Yeah,
I get to see a team that really kind of takes advantage of those sort of
Yeah,
situations.
we were actually thinking about playing something else on Legacy. We just need to think about it a little bit more.
Especially for finals. We're obviously the presumption you go in, pretty much a done deal. But the potential for that to be a massive surprise with teams, because we saw how Astral Authority got suckered into that, like forced into that mid fight for so long. I think I recorded it was about 2 minutes or maybe just over, where Final Form had a 2-cap. They lost Quarry. They had Waterfall, and they just flipped between those 2 points. I think, Subcutie was pushing far considerably, and I think someone had hold of Magic Toka. I think it was Bob. He was getting back to Waterfall really well at times. Not all the time, obviously. But the Revenant was coping really well with the Thief. It's quite a quick learning curve for him, really.
Well, with Retri, I mean, certainly that's a lot easier to pull off. Sure.
But
he
that's
was
also
on note before he got the decap sometimes.
But you also have the weakness there when when Toka run Bandit's defense, it makes him it's easier to stick to him. You don't have that extra stealth with Lightning Powder, that extra fast stealth and the duration. Like you can just pop it and the Rev gets confused. Where is he? Otherwise you have to start stacking stealth with 5-2, and it just takes time. You don't get that long stealth.
So that's a good point about what we were talking about earlier again, about that example of, blinding powder over that defense, that maybe he wouldn't have been able to actually save those decaps if Toka had. Okay.
I mean, it's also more Lightning Powder is also more team utility, right? Because you can stuff your teammates, and you can do that with the block thingy.
The block thingy. I'm gonna call it that.
I mean, I don't actually know all the skills, the name of the skills, right? It's how they're called. Bandit's defense, exactly.
Levin just plays the game well and doesn't need to know the ability names.
I don't even know. I don't even know Trade Devil. Leave me alone.
It's all
okay.
good, man. It's all good.
I will learn them maybe someday.
Maybe I will too. Any other questions, Heurix? I feel like you're burning to ask one.
Burning to ask a question? No.
No, you're not.
Will you marry me, Sind and Levin? Will you both marry me? Is that the question?
Depends which state you're in, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I have a question. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Thief, and I know you guys have a really, really good perspective on Thief because you guys are both really strong with that class. But I guess my next question would be in regards to another class that we've seen sort of come back into the meta as well. But a lot of people are kind of indecisive about whether it's actually back yet, and the second class I'm talking about, of course, is Warrior. I think right now the only class that you probably can't bring to a Pro League comp and feel really confident about is probably Guardian. So I think in a way that Warriors is a little bit back. We saw it a little bit in NA. It worked sometimes, it didn't work others. Do you guys feel anything either way about Warrior?
I think Warrior is really strong. Personally.
Yeah, you guys have been scrimming with it, so.
We just have been scrimming against it. Oh yeah, we also have been scrimming with it, but I don't really want to give away too much to Recraft, but personally I think Warrior is pretty strong. It gets it has a lot of downside pressure as well, like the conditions overall. I mean the spikes are really strong, and you can set up combinations with all the CCs. I think Warrior's in a really good spot now. And it also has a lot more defense than it used to have, and that's what has been really lacking all the time, so I think Warrior's good.
I mean, it's certainly one of those things that you have to kind of cater to inside of your composition, and certainly inside of your rotations as well, because leaving a warrior to be solo against anything other than like an NG is not something I would really kind of want to have happen. But I feel like, at least in terms of my perspective, in terms of what I've seen both in scrims and even in Pro League in this past week, is that if played effectively, it can really push the game to a new level of lethality that maybe will speed the games up and, you know, causes a lot more kills and can certainly start to snowball early. But it's also one of those things that, if not used correctly, will lose you the game almost instantly. So, I mean, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I feel like at some point teams will probably find out how to use it, and it will become, in my opinion, like one of those kind of 5-6 meta classes. But until then, it's just going to be up to teams to kind of decide how they want to utilize that class, because it's so powerful, but it's also so counterable, and teams need to figure out how to kind of play on that fence, I guess.
I mean, isn't mobility going to be a problem for the warrior, though?
Not really. Most of the warriors run sword. Well, was it sword and torch, then longbow? So you get some extra mobility there.
Yeah, we saw Sunfish actually doing really well as well in his fights, and he was, I believe, mace shield longbow. So the good thing about longbow is that if you do run like cleansing ire, you get a lot of cleanse, because that longbow you can just spam in team fights and keep up some pretty consistent burns while also rubbing off conditions like every I think it's 2 3/4 seconds or something like that is what it is. Basically like every 3 seconds if you consider it's ping, but.
But if you bring a warrior, does that mean you have to bring another class to support it, or do you think it's going to be able to support itself?
That was my main point.
Okay.
That was my main point, is that like you really, at least in my opinion, I really think you need to have something to kind of keep it alive, and Ellie might be the best at that, just because Ellie Aura Share is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, but certainly you can get away with things like with Druid, and if you have the right composition, potentially even like just like a Resbot NG work as well. Just let it die and then res it back up. I mean, you never know.
I mean, I keep remembering about this. Whenever I think of a warrior surviving well and being a main target for people to take down, I always think about Rom. I always think about how people used to chase Rom all the time, and he would kite around using, you know, sword or whatever weapons he was using at the time. Didn't even matter. It felt like he could use a bloody spoon and it'd be alright. And, you know, people dying because they're just sheerly chasing Rom, and you've got some of these guys, you know, I remember it from WTS and other things back in the day, where they would die because of so much focus on the warrior they thought was going to be easy to take down. So, you know, whenever I think about warrior,
back then they didn't take it their pain too, so it was the best target anyways.
And they didn't have people like, you know, didn't have things like Revenant, stuff like that. So there's all these different factors, but hey ho. One question I had in terms of regarding, because obviously if you don't know on the forums, you know, if you're not watching the PvP forums, you probably should start to watch it a little bit more, because there is information coming out about different things, and these don't get really announced anywhere else. Is that Mercenaries Amulet is going to be removed as of next week. So Mesmer not using Mercs now, and the thought of moving over to Carrion, or, you know, whatever variation people are going to definitely move on to. Main, it feels like it's Carrion, right? That's what people have said. Is this an easier thing for teams to deal with, especially Fiefs? Or do you think, you know, it could make them potentially stronger, weaker? What opinions do you guys have on this?
Well, you lose a lot of pressure since you had a lot of power pressure from it. You get a lot more HP, obviously. But I don't know, I haven't really played against anyone playing Carrion, but you lose some toughness. So, but yeah, the 1v1s against Mesmer, I guess you're still gonna be pressured. So Thief still has a really good +1 against Mesmer, obviously, since you with Bassi against the shield block, it's still amazing.
I always love to do that.
Yeah.
Feels so good when I do it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So 11, I'm guessing maybe you have had a little bit of experience versus Carrion's Mesmer? Or you've...
Yeah, a little bit.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good.
Oh no, that was not... It's fine. I don't mind it. It doesn't really feel that different to me.
Right, okay.
Just doesn't
trade some HP. I mean, like, obviously,
trade some HP, but yeah, that's...
Obviously, Carrion is the easiest migration to a stat set because it's the closest in relation to the old Mercenaries Amulet. Yeah, you lose the toughness, but the rest of the stats are pretty similar. I mean, certainly not the same, but pretty similar. But I mean, there's still other options that I think a lot of Mesmers still need to try. I mean, there's definitely some other options out there. It's just coming down to which one caters best to their role. Because at the moment, I mean, Mesmers prior to this change were very good at taking the 1v1s. They were even good in some of the team fights because of Moa. And just generally being able to lock down someone and stuff like that is a really, really big deal in some of those team fights as well. But question is what amulet is going to allow them to probably hold that role? I don't see them switching roles. So whatever amulet is going to provide the best chance at winning those, like taking those 1v1s. And I know we were talking about a little bit of some of the potential downfalls of taking Carrion amulet because of that toughness loss. Some of the matchups they might not be as strong in, and there are certainly a lot of those that, or not a lot, but a couple of those that may exist. And it's just about finding which one will fill the role the best, I guess.
There's a difference of opinion in chat, apparently. No, Jebro. Straight up no. Carrion is not the way to go. It would be Wanderers.
Absolutely, it's a choice, but again, you lose a lot of HP, gain a lot of toughness, but I don't know. I still think, like, sure, you get some extra condi duration as well, obviously, from Wanderers, but I would prefer Carrion.
I mean, going up against an Ellie is condi duration as useful anymore when you have all of those cleanses that can come out as well. I mean, there's tons of things out there that could potentially just destroy condi duration. We saw a couple of times some Necros taking Vipers and ultimately not staying on it because what you lose to get that extra condi duration isn't worth it because of the way that people can just cleanse those kind of off really quickly. And with the coordination that we have at the Pro League level, it's just one of those things that I don't see as being as useful as just being able to stay in a fight. Like, that's worth almost as much as anything else, if not more.
So maybe that could come down to something about team composition again, when something gets changed up again, because you know that they, if they don't use an Ellie, maybe there's an option of actually just changing your amulet rather than your comp, just depending on going against. I mean, that's quite. I mean, I don't know why it feels like a little bit more exciting than what we've had before, where it's just been everyone's just playing the same stuff no matter what, and sometimes there's a little bit of an idea of. Sorry about that. It's a traffic jam outside my window. But I don't know. I mean, it could be a possibility, I suppose.
But then again, like, depending on the Mesmers, like if one Mesmer picks Carrion and the other one picks Wanderers, I think the one with Carrion is going to have an advantage because more HP.
Fair play. We got removal of condition. No, they can still remove the conditions as well. So that duration ain't gonna matter if they can do that. Okay, I've got. That feels like I've got a million Thief questions. I don't really know which ones I pick.
Yeah, just ask all of them. We'll be fine.
I mean, we're talking about different comps as well. I think watching the Magic Toker interview during Pro League, which was just hilarious in itself.
Oh, okay. I didn't saw that one.
Oh, you missed out. He was Yeah, he was funny, but he was still coherent, which I thought was
Mildly
even better.
incapacitated is what we'll say, I guess.
There we
Just
go.
mildly, though.
It's true. He was still making sense, though, you know, because I think
Yeah.
I've got a direct quote from him. He just said different comps can win, still can win against teams, you know. I mean, even Team PZ earlier in the season, they were playing, you know, before the April 19th changes, didn't play with Ellie. They've gone back to Ellie now, and that's because of obviously the issues with NG and potential other problems that might come in for them. But, you know, I think it's quite exciting. I think there are different, you know, comps which could come out. Finals, we could even see, you know, potentially some teams playing Thief. You know, Team PZ, you won't see them pulling out a Thief. I very much doubt that. I mean, am I wrong about that, Heurix? Is there a chance they would pull out a Thief for finals?
For PZ?
Yeah,
Or...
Team PZ.
It's very unlikely, because in order for them to pull out a Thief, Muffins has to swap off Mesmer, so
Yeah.
at the moment, no one can play Mesmer as well as him on that team. At least in my opinion. I don't know, maybe they have other opinions, but I think that they probably won't because of that reason. They don't have anyone who can make up for that Mesmer slot at the moment. Unless Mesmer falls out. I mean, you never know what could happen. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't see Mesmer. By the way, I just want to say before everybody makes fun of me, I don't see Mesmer falling out. I'm just you know,
No.
faces out here.
We didn't. I don't think anyone thought that. They did. Heurix
Yeah,
definitely
Mesmer
knows.
will.
Backhand him, dude. Just pop. You know? Hello?
They're gone.
Hello?
They're just going forever. Okay. So there's not really many questions from people. Normally people have questions. There's so many questions.
I have a question.
Rubbish.
So,
Go.
before I mentioned, and this is actually something that I stole from the chat also, before I mentioned that there was likely 7 or 8 pretty good classes, certainly classes that you could probably feel confident about bringing in certain situations on certain maps with certain certain things tailored to certain, you know what I mean? Like, you could make 8 of the 9 classes work likely. The 9th class that I left out in my mind was the Dragon Hunter or Guardian or whatever you want to call it. And someone in chat, or several people in chat, are talking about Dragon Hunter and how potentially viable it is, talking specifically about Bunker Dragon Hunter, and we've seen that in the Pro League, you know, 1 or 2 times now, and also people talking about traps. What is your guys' impression of the Dragon Hunter? I have my own comments, but I'll let you guys wait first.
You mean specifically about the bunker version, or just Dragon Hunter overall?
I guess in general, but certainly highlighting on the Bunker build, as that's the one that we've seen in Pro League.
I feel as if that one would just get out-rotated. I don't think it's gonna be good.
Only Guardian viable is Tage.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
it. Exactly.
That's it.
I was literally going to say that. You stole my phrase. It's so true. I think you're right about that. I think Tage could be
But
I'm not even
is
joking.
it actually viable, or does he just kind of make it work?
No.
Because the problem that I have with it is it has absolutely no mobility outside of its F2, and if you're using that F2 for mobility, then you're screwed anyways, because while it does have a relatively lower cooldown in comparison to the Virtues version, regular like Guardian, Virtue of Resolve, it's still a huge cooldown for your survivability and your sustain because of the heal that it provides, and outside of that, you have essentially nothing. And then in terms of pressure, you also have essentially nothing. So, in my opinion, I just don't see what it provides other than someone to stand on a point, and there's other classes that can do that.
Yep, and actually have some kind of effect. I mean, obviously, and then you have to take like a rune set or a sigil to give you that speed you need. And then it's just taking away the build even. There's no, like, base. I mean, maybe if they put some kind of run speed bonus, you know, into Dragon Hunter somewhere in addition to
If I'm not
mistaken,
Guardian, I think at this point is the only class that doesn't have that.
I think so, because Warrior's got melee weapon speed.
Yep.
Everything
Ellie
else
has
does.
daggers.
Mesmer
Yeah,
has-
everything else has it.
Yeah, it is
Mesmer
literally
has it
Guardian,
through
isn't
Chrono
it?
now, and we have engineers have it through Mecha Legs. I mean, like, everybody has it. It's just, I think Guardian's the only one.
Because of the res bubble. That's basically why. Because the downstate res is just so strong.
Plus, with their with their inherently low vitality as well, it's you have to build up that high enough to be able to sustain conditions as well. Because, I mean, there's not a lot of a lot of burst condition removal outside of like if you go like virtues or like and like that consecration, Perfect Flames or something, because then you're forced into going like shouts, and then you can bring like soldier runes, I guess. But I don't know. There's just like a lot of potential issues with it that I just find classes fill that role so much better, at least in my opinion. I don't know.
Yep, same so too. I don't think Dragon Hunter is going to fill a role.
I don't see it replacing any of the classes now.
But at least we got. Would we all agree on saying that at this current stage, right now, maybe something will change in the next couple of weeks or whatever going into the finals, and we'll have to see then. But as it stands right now, with the way that everything has kind of worked out, would we all agree that 8 of the 9 classes are potentially viable given the right circumstances?
Especially if you're an NA.
I think you're gonna see a lot of different comps at the finals, though. That much I can say. It's not gonna be the same comp all over like you saw in the Season 1 finals. Well, Vermilion played something else, but most of the teams play the same.
I mean, the things that we know are viable are Rev, Mez, potentially Ellie, potentially NG.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Druid.
Druid, of course. And then you have the potential of Warrior, unless we disagree on that one. That would be probably the biggest one people could disagree on. And I mean, like, obviously Dragon Hunter is not one that we would consider. What am I leaving out?
Thief.
Yeah, Thief, and we all kind of consider that Thief is certainly back in some fashion. So, yeah. I mean, that's 8 of the 9. The only one we're leaving out is Dragon Hunter.
I suppose the main thing you've got to think about as well is, which we talked a bit last week, I think, with Helseth as well, was the fact that, not only is it just the fact that this is all possible, but who's going to play those roles? Like TCG obviously got Rom, he can play Warrior pretty damn well.
Oh, I didn't mention Necro.
Yeah. But none of us picked up on that. Don't worry.
I knew there was something, man.
Yeah,
well, sorry.
Yeah, no one cares.
That one probably
really
struck
cares
a
about
chord.
Necro.
I know how Nas feels about Necro, so I that one probably struck a chord. That's my bad, dude. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. We just it's just.
I think Neck is in even
PZ
worse state now than Warrior.
PZ is using the old build, man. The old build, and it's so far working for them.
For them.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They still have their 2 of their 3 hardest matchups are still yet to play, which is against, of course, Astral with Nos, and then Never Lucky, which is this next week. So I mean, there's still there's still a lot to be decided in regards to that. But I don't know.
Abjad is playing Necro as well, though, right? So that really count.
Yeah, but that's another thing where
Nos is feeling super confident about it in terms of its ability after the changes.
It's that kind of, isn't it that kind of same comment as with Tage? Nos maybe makes Necro viable to a degree almost, but it's a little bit more relevant to the season at the moment, I suppose. That was a little bit of a compliment there. I'm sorry. Jesus.
Well,
it's happening.
Isn't Team PZ running Necro still?
Yeah. The on-point turret, for sure. The biggest. That's the biggest thing that I see actually that comes from them is the pairing between Paul and Java is something that teams have kind of somewhat struggled with actually, where they kind of cycle between who's on point and who pops off, and it works very well. They have a good synergy between the two of them, and when Java goes on the point, he essentially just sits there and just turrets people down, and they don't do anything because they just chase Paul around because he was the person who was on the point last. They got him down to about 60% HP. They think he's the easier target, and he kind of runs around the point a little bit while Java is literally, like I said, just scepter turreting people to death, and they get ruined because of it.
So, thinking about the finals, and if we think about the teams that are going into these finals as well, I mean, based on the season at the moment and how teams are playing, I mean, obviously TCG didn't go last season. We're just going to see a kind of swap out. I mean, if we assume that Team PZ and Astro are going to go from an A, and obviously 55 and TCG from EU. And just before we end the show, because we haven't got long, if that's the 4 teams, and I know obviously Levin's here, so maybe he might be slightly biased. If those teams are the teams that do go to the finals, who do you think? Do you think there's going to be a lot of change from the last finals? Do you think Astral will still have a bit of a trouble against, say, you guys, Levin, or TCG
honestly,
or whatever?
Honestly, Astral is always going to be. I feel like Astral, if they stay their current roster, Astral is always going to be competitive at like a finals.
Oh God, no,
They're always going to be competitive.
That's not
to count them out. To count anyone out, like even like I'm talking like any of the top teams. To count anyone out at that level, unless something is weird in the meta, is completely naive in my opinion. I think that everybody's going to be good. If PZ makes it, I think PZ will actually surprise some people. I think that TCG will do well. Of course, Astro and 55 will do well as well. I think it'll be incredibly competitive. And personally, I couldn't even make a comment as to who I think would be the best at this point.
I think it was more of a question to these guys.
I just wanted to put it in there because I didn't want anybody like trashing.
I'm definitely not
without
definitely
knowing.
not. I think the insinuation I was trying to make is the point of what you were talking about with PZ earlier, and it's the fact that that both NA teams, in my opinion, maybe Astral have said the same, but we've been kind of swapping, cups, EU wins, NA wins. We're taking it in turns, and it's NA's turn this time round. So that's the thing. But also with the amount of practice,
I'm not sure if that works that way.
There we go. That's a little bit of fighting talk from Levin. Been waiting.
Oh, you just wanted some smack talk. That's what you're looking for.
There hasn't been enough on this.
Come on, Levin, bring it out, man. Bring it
out. We've got
okay,
too many nice.
We know Nas is in the chat right now, dude.
Yeah,
I
see. Okay, Nas, we're gonna win, right? But no arm wrestling, please.
You can win the arm wrestling, but you can't win the title, is what Levin's saying.
I think the biggest edge EU has is that they will bring a lot of different comps. I mean, NA is so easily read right now. Like, they don't have that many different options. I think it was smart of 55 to go over to NA to run that tournament to get some scouting done. And I think...
well, we nearly didn't play then. I had to whisper Zen like 10 million times that he takes you as a start. He was like, oh, I don't want to play.
Yeah, but you guys have been screaming and I've seen you guys play different classes, and I think you guys know the strength and weaknesses of
That's true.
Their comps in NA, and I think they don't have that many people that can reroll on their teams. So.
But isn't there going to be a new balance patch?
Yeah, for sure, on Tuesday, but they said small changes, so it's going to be a big...
Isn't there going to be one after the qualifiers and before finals?
We don't know.
There was one last time.
There's nothing...
Really?
Yeah, there's nothing that was been said.
I think they changed it to use it earlier this time. And,
okay, alright.
Small tweaks this Tuesday.
Okay.
There might be tweaks. I think you could maybe even expect tweaks up until the finals, and especially after the April 19th.
One tweak every Tuesday.
You never know. I mean, it's happened a little bit. Moa came after the 19th, and another change, and there's any more Mesmer changes, people might not be too happy about that.
I do kind of find the timing odd, given that there's still one more week of Pro League play. But I mean, they have said multiple times that they don't base the timing of the balance changes necessarily off of the Pro League. I mean, it certainly has worked out, but it is like one of those weird things where it's kind of odd timing, especially something as big as taking out Mercenary Amulet. And we don't know what else is coming in it, but it could be just as big.
It's really annoying from my point of view, because we have our last match against Vermilion, right? And we don't want to underestimate them. I mean, the chances that they're actually gonna qualify are slim, but I mean, it's still possible. And that little change might actually change our composition, depending on how our scrims go and everything else. But
and NA has a huge matchup as well between PZ versus Astral, so there's a lot to still be decided.
The thing is, when we had the big balance patch and we had the 2-3 reg breaks, we could actually adjust, and now we kind of have to single on, okay, what we're gonna do now, and we have to, we might have to swap around composition in the middle of Pro League, even though we still have to match our rig. That's pretty annoying. I really don't like it.
I think NA is hoping for Mesmer to get out of meta. That would be dream scenario.
Yeah, they would be pretty happy about that.
They have no
Mesmer that really happy.
In terms of not necessarily within NA, because I think that some of the players that play Mesmer and the way that the teams have played Mesmer. I think they like playing it, but once it goes over to EU, I think we're a little bit outclassed in that regard. So certainly it would be a boon
Oh
to
my
have
god!
that.
Could you imagine Oracle going to another LAN?
But I mean, I'm not really scared of not playing Mesmer. I mean, I think Misha already proved last finals that he can play Necro.
But he would rather play.
Right?
He would rather play Mesmer, right? Obviously, he wants to win as his main class. I think he wants to do.
Yeah, I guess I don't actually know about Connie Mesmer, but yeah, I guess he will.
You don't care. You just want to win.
But I think it's a bigger advantage for you guys as long as Mesmer stays in the meta. Like compared to NA, they have no good Mesmer that can even match either of TCG or Mesmer.
We have Mesmers that could potentially, like in some scenarios, match up, but I don't want to like downplay the NA talent depth. I mean, we have decent players. It's just a problem of in terms of consistency. I don't think that they're going to be able to match up because these guys have played Mesmer so much longer and have been so consistent on it for so long. I mean, you're talking about Oracle and Helsith. I mean,
and
those are...
Well, I don't remember casting, other than, before the Pro League, I don't really remember casting them playing anything else. I don't think I've ever, maybe Helsith played Nexef maybe once, like Necro and maybe Thief once. But that was about it. And, Oracle, if he wanted to have a fun... Oh, no, he actually played Dragon Hunter a couple of times, I remember. But obviously, that's not really a choice.
I mean,
Misha actually multi-classes quite a lot, just not on tourneys.
Oh, fair play.
I mean, in terms of the Mesmer matchups, I definitely think that EU probably stacks up a little bit better than NA, but outside of that, I mean, I think it might be a little bit more of an open book in terms of who might be able to pull out. So, I mean, with the changes that we know, we already know Mesmer is getting changed because of that Mercenary Amulet switch up. We already know it's getting changed. If there's anything else coming, we have no idea what that kind of stuff might be. If it's going to push it out, if it's going to, even make it potentially stronger. I mean, we don't even know if there's going to be something that gets changed in a trait that actually winds up making, even though the Mercenary Amulet is gone, maybe making the Mesmer even stronger than before. We have no idea. I mean,
this is true. Until we see it on Monday. No, it's not even going to be Monday. It's just the last week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just that
so
week 7, and then it's going to be one of those. Yeah, it's going to be one of those situations again where, last season, we had no idea what teams were going to be running going into the matches, and we even saw stuff like Shout Necro on Kylo, where you kind of take advantage of the indestructibles and you can get more targets off of your shouts, and that's stuff that we didn't necessarily see prior to that. And there might be some of those things coming up as well for this season final, so we'll have to look out for it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Grouch mentioned on forums that there are coming small tweaks as well, so...
Yeah. It's important to watch out on the forums, most definitely. I've noticed the time, and we've gone a little bit over, and I know someone is going to be hosted soon, so I just want to quickly run through EU preview and NA preview. Not very long at all. I would say that most of... Actually, EU first series is going to be Orange Logo versus Purple Noise. Now... Sin, I know, obviously, we all know what's going on with Orange Logo at the moment, but your game on Monday, your series with Monday, how do you feel about Purple Noise and that, that series you're going to be playing?
I don't know, we don't really have anything to win. I think we will show up on Monday and play, bring out some new fun stuff.
There we go. The honest comments are fine.
Orange Logo, the testing team of EU.
You didn't like the Ventari rev?
Oh my god. I just remember, I completely forgot. I think I put that... I'm not going to call it a build, actually. I'm just put it out of my head, because I was like... I didn't know what to say about it because it was just awful.
It's gonna be better.
Yeah, the stone table is super cool. Don't you like it when Power just moves it around?
It's a tablet. It's not a table. Although it might as well be. It'll probably be more useful than calling it a tablet. I mean, having a table, at least you can sit at it and eat some food.
Or it might knock some people over or something.
Yeah.
Well, it actually knockbacks, right, when you let it explode. So.
I don't know. It was just bad.
get those timings down, man. Hype esports, you know.
Yeah, you just need to practice
I mean,
a little bit.
it could have been decent, but he was running like Rabid Amulet.
Yes.
Oh
like,
my god.
Don't even
Oh,
lie
yeah,
to
right.
yourself.
He
It
also
couldn't
plays
be
at the
decent.
worst
Don't
right
lie.
Sin is trying to legitimize Pharos' build. I mean, they're on the same team. It was definitely interesting. I just didn't have any time to really talk about it or analyze it so much because
I
it was
didn't.
just
I didn't even know that he was running it. To be honest, he
Really?
was like,
Oh my
no.
god. Jesus.
to say it was a ballsy, gutsy move. I think you can't take that away from you guys. That's for sure. Okay, Levin, your series up next, rank 55 versus more guns. I mean,
Yeah.
They've pulled out some cheeky wins here and there. They've actually had
Yeah,
not a bad
I
season.
just checked a few of the players, and I don't think they've logged in the game for quite a while. And
Really?
last week they had 3 win as well because they were against Car Crash. So I don't think they actually played a game. So
Really? See, I'm not going to tell you actually. I know they've been scrimming a lot. They were.
Really?
I know they
Yeah.
were a hell of a lot. Probably even these. Maybe did
Oh
they
my
scrim
God.
versus you, Sin?
T-Skin is playing Druid.
do you make me worry now?
Oh no! Sin's releasing info.
Oh.
Oh,
my
there's
God.
a teaser for you. Wow. My
Nice.
God, there's a little bit of a teaser for you.
Alright, okay.
So
Yeah.
then, super. You feel you'll win? Now he's like, I don't know. Now.
Oh shit! Facing Android.
If it's Legacy, don't bring Thief.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Thank you for the advice.
I forgot to ask that question earlier. Damn it. Okay, alright. Maybe that'll come up in the conversation. Super Smash versus TCG. Do we really have to talk about this? Anyone?
Not really.
There we go. And then Vermilion versus Car Crash. Obviously, is Vermilion's win because Car Crash obviously banned from the season. The reason I talk about the TCG game and Super Smash in such a flippant manner is because Super Smash haven't really turned up this season, unfortunately. But we're going to just jump over to NA. Out of these matches, Heurix, now, this first match, probably one of the most... Actually, there's at least 2 series there which are going to be quite key, right? Well, maybe the first one in particular. Team PZ versus Never Lucky.
Key, there's only really one.
Yeah.
And that one, yeah, like you said, is PZ versus Never Lucky. In terms of close matches, potentially, there's 2, I guess, maybe. Spooky
match?
versus E-Dream.
Oh no, you don't
could be
think
pretty
Final
close?
Form Easy Peasy is going to be close?
No. I think Final
Okay.
Form will pretty handedly take that, in my opinion. I mean, yes, they're close in their
Point score.
and their point score, yeah, but I think Final Form is probably. I think a lot of people who follow NA could probably agree that Final Form is the better team.
Oh yeah, definitely.
in almost every way. But for PZ versus Never Lucky, that is the match that will basically decide who goes to the finals.
Who do you think is
if
going to
Never
go to
Lucky
the finals?
winds up, ooh, don't do this to me.
We haven't
Do
got
this.
time.
Come
We haven't
on,
got
man.
team. We haven't got time,
Don't do this to
unfortunately,
me.
to go through so much
I will
stuff.
say-
I want predictions for match 1, 2,
I will
3, and
say
4 now.
PZ will win that matchup 2-1.
I agree.
I will then say Astral Authority just slaughters Gyms and Tonic
Yes,
2-0.
agreed.
I will say Spooky will.
Yeah, that's
This is the hard one. I will say Spooky will beat E-Dream
right.
2-1, and that is not something I feel very confident about.
Because I was going to
wait,
go
what's
the
the
other
map-
way.
What is the map rotation? Do we know the map rotation? for next
Yeah,
week?
let me just check. It is.
I need to know what the map rotation
Temple
is.
Forest. Oh, Temple, man. I reckon E-Dream.
Temple
could win
Forest,
that.
and then
And
Temple
then
Forest,
Fofo.
and then.
So far.
I think Fofire is probably Spooky's biggest problem. So I don't know. Now I feel less confident.
I think
I feel less confident. I'm swapping it back to E-Dream 2-1 over Spooky, but I still am, like I said, not very confident.
Temple
about
is
that.
all-
So I mean, it's.
You throw Temple in there, it's so difficult to predict.
I don't think
sometimes.
Temple is the biggest shakeup. I think that Legacy is the biggest shakeup
Because
because,
of Spooky.
Spooky is just.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of problems with their Mesmer on Legacy that I didn't understand. But
I think a lot
onto
of
the
people did have that similar problem.
Yeah,
on
Easy
Legacy.
Peasy had the same problem on Legacy with their Mesmer. I mean, like they whatever. Anyways, I don't want to harp on.
We need a
mistakes that
part
teams
2
made.
to this show at some point.
Yeah. Final Form versus Easy Peasy, like I said, I think Final Form will probably walk away from that with a 2-0. Easy Peasy has done very, very well this season. They've made a lot of good decisions, a couple of bad ones, a couple of kind of rookie mistakes like last week where you don't go for the Lord Rush when it's the simple choice to make, especially when you have a Thief Rev and Mesmer that are all available to go for the kill, and there's no LE to defend. So it's just I don't know, it just seems like the logical decision. They don't go for that, but I think that Final Form at this stage is just the better team holistically, and I think that they'll probably take that 2-0.
Okie dokie, guys. Thank you for joining us for this week's On Point episode. Do not forget, and thank you, Heurix, for going through that as well. Thank you to Levin and Sin, of course. You can follow their Twitters. I actually put Levin's team Twitter underneath, so at Rank55Dragons. Have you got another Twitter that you want people to follow you on if they want to follow you?
Yeah, I will see it once I go on 55 Twitter, I guess.
Levin said something. I'm not sure what it is. Sin's Twitter is at, you can see it below his screen, right there, at Syndraner. And then you can obviously follow myself at Jebdan, and you can follow Heurix, who is here, at CT Heurix. We have been the On Point team for you in this week, showing you week 5, preview of week 6. We look forward to seeing you on Monday, where we will have some more interesting games, and looking forward to winding up the season as well as finding out who is definitely be going towards finals. Viewers in chat, thank you for your questions, your comments, and your trollability, as per usual, because we respect that. And any final words, Heurix, before we leave?
Praise be to the sloths, man, for sure.
Oh, the only stream where I don't have my sloth coffee mug. Literally. You are kidding me. Today we have the Egyptian gods. Anyway, we will see you in the future, guys. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And sleep time.